It's starting. You're alive.
Youngest daughter. They are out enjoying spending time with my siblings right now in Texas, so I get to teach class, which you want me teaching it anyways. I know about houseplants. They don't really do that, so doesn't mean they don't know anything. So we're gonna just speak on a little bit of everything today. With it being a smaller class, I can kind of go into more detail or whatever you guys would like to focus on a little bit more, because there is a lot of aspects to houseplants. So interrupt me anytime you want. If you got a question or if I'm moving too fast, just let me know. Basically what I'll start with is kind of just houseplants in general, what's best for dark rooms, light rooms, stuff like that. I'll go into products to use for like fungal or if you fungus gnats. I'm sure some people do, those little black masks everywhere. And we'll just kind of get into it, and then I'll do how to transplant. How to transplant your plant in the wintertime, get it going, if it's sick, if it's healthy, stuff like that. So I do apologize to start with. I was supposed to have a beautiful houseplant truck show up the other day. The truck broke down, so I don't have it. So it should be here Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So I apologize for that, but we've got houseplants. Let me know if you can't hear me. I will speak up. I try my best, but I'm a little rusty. So we'll just start with houseplants in general. So I brought up a collection for dark and light rooms because they are very specific. So I kind of broke it up here for you. These are going to kind of be your dark rooms. So your rooms that have no light, very little windows, or even like your east windows, morning light. These guys can take that without dying on you, without like losing a bunch of their leaves. So this is a Dracaena. There's several Dracaena types. I think there's like these big guys back here. They're all Dracaenas. They can handle low light, low water. Do not touch them. If you touch them, they will die, so just leave them be. Do not water them, and they'll be happy for you. So they grow very slow. These guys will eventually get tall, 5-6 feet, but it takes them years. So you can start small and work your way up here. This guy's the Tarzan Dracaena with the red edges to him. You can do golden edges, white edges. There's lots of Dracaenas. So that's kind of these. They are multi-stemmed usually. You can also get a single trunk, but these are great for your big, tall areas that you want to cover a room in that don't have light.
Well, when you give them water, how much?
Yeah, so I'll get into watering and stuff, because that's like a whole other area, so I'll get into that. Same goes for the ZZs and the snake plants. These guys are also low light. They can handle bright light, but they like low light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't know these? Mother-in-law tongue, snake plants, the ZZs here. They also take very low water, like once a month, but I'll get more into that. So these guys, don't touch them. You touch them, I kill all my succulent house plants because I just overwater them. I love them too much. So just don't touch these guys, and they'll do great for you. These guys kind of like 4x4s, more of a low bush. He kind of fills out and gets tall. He wants to get tall. As you can tell, they just keep sending out spikes. So he gets tall and wide. But they grow very slow. So if you want a space that you don't, it'll eventually fill out, just leave them there. Those are those guys. You can also do anything with a dark leaf. So this is kind of a burgundy plant, rubber plant. Dark leaves. There's one that's got a variegated bright leaf. It's like pink and white. They don't like low light. They'll actually kind of start reverting back to their old leaf, which is darker, if they don't get enough light. So anything dark leaf, pothos, philodendron, go with dark. Let me show you an example. So this is a philodendron with dark leaves. Loves a dark room. It will love it, keep going. If you take a neon one and put it in there, this will revert back to this eventually. It will not keep its bright leaves. So you gotta know which one you're putting into a dark space. So this guy likes bright light. bright room, bright indirect, and it will keep its green leaves, not revert back. So they like to change forms on you if you don't take care of them. So those are kind of your dark rooms. Anything blooming, any succulent types, cactus, they all want bright light. Because if they don't get enough light, they're not going to do well. They're just going to be green, and you're not going to have blooms. They're just going to be a green plant. So anything that blooms, anything bright colored, bright light. Anything like this guy, he's a spider plant. Anything kind of variegated tends to like a brighter room. Doesn't mean they can't handle a dark room. But if you really want to showcase them, give them a bright room. So spider plants are great for especially bathrooms because they like to trail and they have those pups, those arid pups. They love a bathroom because of the humidity. So you don't necessarily need to water them a lot if they're in a bathroom. So that just, we'll get into what that means. But these guys will just trail, go forever. Kind of a brighter light because they're very good. So that's kind of your tricks on knowing where to place your houseplants and what to look for in when you're placing them in a darker or light room. Does that make sense? Did I get that right for you guys?
When I was growing up, my sisters had so many spider plants in their bedroom windows.
Yeah.
That they had them on bamboo.
Yeah, and they crawl and
They didn't have to have a curtain.
yeah. Oh yeah, they just
They
trail.
were everywhere.
Good luck. You won't get that here in Arizona, but you'll get that with places with humidity. That's what it changes for you. So humidity makes a huge difference for you guys. So we'll get into that for winter and summer here. It's very different. So in terms of just what I have up here, just so you guys know, this is a monstera plant. This is kind of a big bush. Eventually, they grow very fast. Love to send up roots. They can grow light or dark rooms, doesn't matter. And they're kind of a monstera.
Monstera.
Yeah, split leaf, anything like that. How they grow is they grow condensed single leaf, and then they break out. So they don't just come split. They have to grow into that. So this is already a really nice size one that's aged up for you. Monstera, this is its partner. This is a Swiss cheese plant. As you can tell, more broken into it. I love the Swiss cheese, but this trails more. Is more going to be a spreader for you. So put it up high, let it train it. These love to be trained. So that's Swiss cheese. This is a ficus. Who doesn't know ficus? Ficus are very temperamental here, but they are a great kind of tropical tall house plant. I couldn't bring that guy over, but that fiddle leaf fig is another type of ficus kind of thing. They love bright light tropical plants. So they don't like to be moved. As soon as you put them someplace, try not to move it. Otherwise, it will start losing its leaves on you. That's what ficus love to do. But they're just a great house plant. This is a goldfish plant, kind of a more succulent type of plant. They get those orange blooms that look like goldfish. Really cute. Bright light for sure to make it bloom. And then just don't even water it that much because its leaves hold a lot of moisture. So you're probably watering it maybe every 2 weeks kind of thing. That's a goldfish. There's tons of different types like that. This guy, I already talked about a ZZ, but this is my raisin ZZ, the black ZZ. So they send up green shoots that turn black. So a little bit more rare. It's my rare one I had that I show you. Works the same way as a regular ZZ, it's just the color is different. So. Last two that I'll just mention that I have up here. This is a Chinese evergreen. Very, very drought tolerant. If you even touch this guy before he's dried out, you'll overwater it really easily. So these guys like to be left alone. Brighter light if you can, because it is variegated. It can handle dark light. You just might lose some of this, but you will not lose all of the variegation. Welcome in. So this is Chinese evergreen. Last one is the lipstick plant. It's kind of like the goldfish family. It kind of has red blooms that look like lipstick tubes. So that's these guys, succulent type, so they do like bright light. This is the variegated black pagoda one. There is a single shiny leaf one as well, with lots of lipsticks. But I brought he because he was cool and healthy looking. So that's kind of the houseplants I have up here. I'll also go into more of these guys. I'll go into him in just a second on something else. So let's do watering really quick, since that's kind of the segue, and people love to need to know how to water. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when we go into winter mode here, watering changes drastically in your houseplants. You cannot water them the same as you did in the summertime. I don't know if you guys have kind of noticed that, but they tend to stay wet a lot longer. I know our heat's up in our house, they should be drying out, they are not. The tops here will dry out, but the bottoms will stay completely wet. So you really have to watch your houseplants. Just a finger in the soil is not really helpful this time of year, because you'll just notice they stay wet longer. So I would suggest a moisture meter. These guys, you stick right down into the soil of your pot, gets down to the bottom of the root ball, and tells you what's really going on. So just look at these. Do not use these for outside as much. They do not work as well because the cold tells you it's wet when it's not wet. So this is more for inside houseplants. But it works great. So like right now, your succulent types, anything cactus, anything aloe, you want to water. We water ours like once a month. That's all it needs. Now we do soak them. So I take a big tub of water, fill it up, chuck them in, and let them sit there for 20 to 30 minutes. So they soak. So then I don't have to touch them again for another month. If you top water, completely fine. You just might have to check a little bit more often, maybe every 2 weeks or so. But you do not water more than that. If you have like a philodendron or a peace lily or a monstera, check them every week. You might be able to go 2 weeks depending on what soil they're in, but check them once a week for water. You can top water or soak them. I like soaking because I hate watering, so I don't want to go check it every week. I just want to leave it alone and not touch it. So it's whatever your preference is, whether you like to take care of them or not. So these guys like a little bit more. Your leafy things like more. So just watch that for the winter time. So in summer, you're probably watering every week. You're checking them every week, you're watering every week. Right now, let them go. Let them go dry. Your moisture meter will tell you, and the moisture meter in there has a list of, this is not a moisture meter, it has a list of plants. It has a list of your house plants, it has a list of what they should be, and it is fairly accurate for Arizona. It is accurate for what they should be watered at. That's your houseplant list. It's not all of them, but it is a good start. So just know that with the moisture meter. That makes sense? Anyone have questions on watering, what to look for and stuff? Yeah.
Okay. I bought some of those watering tubes, they're glass and they're
Yeah.
ball at the top, and they're only supposed to water whatever it needs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I filled it, they were all different sizes, so I filled a large one and put it in my wandering juice that are usually outside in
Yep.
summer. So it's a huge plant, and the next morning it was empty. And I tried the meter beforehand, all the way down, it said it was dry.
Okay.
So my experience in the past is whenever that plant is overwatered, it dies.
Yes, very fast.
So can you speak to when to use these different size little tubes that are supposed to self-water?
Yeah. So she's talking about those tubes of self-water, like you go away, you want to stick it in, you don't want to worry about your plant. Hers drained really fast for her inch plant. They're watering juice, but they're not inch plants. Just sucked it up. So as soon as something goes towards overwatering, as she said, it's very hard to bring it back from that. You can underwater and bring it back very easily. As soon as the roots start rotting, it's very hard to bring it back. So when using those things, for the inch plant, I wasn't too worried because they love to be dry. They can stay dry with anything succulent. Even if it uses the whole water tube, I would say it's fine, let it leave be. Because it took all that water and it's great. Now that might be an instance where you soak the soil a little bit so it's very hydrated, and then stick it in and see how it goes, because those are different plants. If it was a pothos or a philodendron and you stick one of those in, it probably would drain a lot slower because your soil's not going to be as dry, or it wouldn't have been as dry. So it's partially the plant, partially the soil. So I would say if you're leaving and you stick them in, it drains really fast, that's fine. It took it, it needed it, it was good. Usually they should drain a lot slower. So it's probably a really light soil, my guess is what you have, and so it just took that and soaked it in.
Light soil?
Yeah, in that plant you probably have soil that drains really well, would be my guess. So if it drains really well, it usually takes more water, and then it flushes out the rest. So it's partially the soil too. So I like those bulb things. They're very hard to adjust to. If you have a succulent type, go smaller. If you have a leafy plant, go bigger. And that's how you kind of choose which one you want. We also have some that you attach a water bottle to and you just stick it in your plant. That kind of regulates it a little bit more too, because it goes through a ceramic or a ceramic bottom, so it doesn't flush as much as glass would. So I prefer ceramic more. If you can go ceramic, go ceramic. Otherwise, glass is fine. Does that kind of answer your question? Okay.
What kind of water?
Yeah, so if you guys have noticed, we're very salty in our water here. Things they will kind of burn on you. So if you can use distilled or leave it out for a day, because that usually takes that salt out, you can, that's better. Now, if you have a bunch of plants and you do not want to do that and spend that kind of money, I just use my tap water, but you will see maybe some burning with it. That means the edges of plants maybe get brown. That happens a lot in your dacinas, they can get brown edges. Or jade plants like to secrete the salt. You'll see like white forms on your jades or your succulents. That means they took that salt and they secreted it out. So distilled is better, it's the best thing you can. If you don't want to do that, just use your tap water. You just might see some burning, but you really just fertilize and it will take that out. So
I have soft water.
yeah, that works
Water
too.
soft.
That should be fine. Even if you leave that water out for a day, it'll probably be better. But soft water is even better for it. So, but yeah, our water sucks here, so it is what it is. You just gotta work with it. So it takes some time, but yeah. Anything else before I move on to kind of products and stuff? Okay, so let me talk on what the issues are this time of year that usually happen. That's going to be your fungus and your fungus gnats. So I brought him to show you what fungus looks like in houseplants. We get that here, it happens. We have a very warm room and everything. So if you can kind of see, I can send this plant around. So I brought him because he shows you really what it looks like to have a fungus. So the spotting with the yellow edges on it, this guy really here, they're kind of really soft. It's not hard. It's a very soft brown. Let me see if the camera, can you see that on the camera?
Yep.
That's the spotting, that soft brown. That is fungus. That tells you that your roots are rotting and the plant is showing you what it looks like. Pick this guy up. So that's a really good one of that. So look out for that. It usually shows in all types of plants. It's going to show the same. It's going to be a black dot with a yellow ring, or it's going to start in your edges and work its way down, but it will be soft. If it's underwatering, it will be hard. Brown, hard, you will not have the yellow. Most type of houseplants get overwatered. So I'll show you how to deal with this in a sec. I'm going to show you guys how to transplant and deal with fungus at the same time. But this one I'll show you too. It has some fungus. What happened with him is they get more spots that chew through the leaf. So I can't really see it here, but you can show through. But the spots that's on top ate through the leaf and ate through the whole thing. And that is a fungus as well. You see lined rows of dots, that's a fungus. But I brought him because he showed you a different one. Also, his leaves don't open up all the way. So he's still unfurling, but their leaves, if you find that they're not opening correctly or they've got holes out of them, that's a fungus as well. That's not an insect, it's not anything eating it, that's a fungus. So those are signs to look for in your houseplants. Yeah, so fungus gnats, I'll get into some fungus really quick. Fungus gnats are those little things that fly around your head and you're just like, where the heck are you coming from? Why are you here? People get it this time of year, especially because they're outdoor plants they brought in. Yes. Fungus gnats can be in your soil outdoors, so if you bring anything indoors, you want to use this because you run the risk of getting fungus gnats. If plants stay too wet, especially this time of year, they will get fungus gnats. They can come in from your fruit, they can just come in, you don't know where they're coming from. You'll get them if your houseplants are staying too wet, that's an indicator. If you leave them alone, they will eat the roots of your plants eventually. You cannot just leave them alone and have them be fine. You have to deal with them. You can use gnat sticks. These are these little yellow sticky things you just place in your plants. This will not get rid of your problem. This just gets rid of the flying guys around your face. They will fill up. What they do is they lay eggs in your soil, and they'll just keep coming back from that. So unless you deal with it in the soil, these just help them get out of your face. This systemic is the best to get rid of your soil. So you take a little bit, you don't need to be specific, take a little bit, sprinkle it in the top of your plant, Water it in lightly to get it in the soil, and then try and let your plant dry out as much as possible before you go and water again. If you water too quickly, you run the risk of taking this out and it doesn't work. And then you're like, this doesn't work. You watered it too much. So try and let it dry out as much as possible. And this kills your things in the dirt. Yeah.
Someone was asking, going back to watering,
Oh,
what
yeah.
about reverse osmosis water?
Yeah, I mean, that's just really getting into it. You don't need to put that much work into it. You really don't. Just let it sit out, get distilled water. I don't do a lot of the osmosis process, but that's just a lot of work for here. If you want to do it, do it. It works great. I'd say just let your water sit out. So that's me. I mean, if you like to get into it. Welcome in.
When you use this product, should the soil be a little bit wet to pull it in, or should it be totally dry?
So I would let it be wet a little bit. So, because that way your plant can go a little bit longer before it dries out. You don't want it to suffer, you don't want it to dry out too much. You just want this to be useful. So yeah, water it a little bit, keep it a little moist, and then water this on top, and you should be good to go. So that's your fungus gnats, that's happening this time of year. As soon as you move the plants back outside, you don't have to worry about it. This is for indoors. So, let's talk about how to deal with your sick houseplants and how to treat them if they are sick. Because as I said, it's hard to bring them back from overwatering. Doesn't mean it's impossible, it just takes time. So for this guy with fungus, I like to use fungicide 5. This doesn't have a smell, it's not going to be around your house, but as long as you want to do it outside, spray it outside. This guy is just top spray. Top spray is okay, it doesn't hurt it, it's always better. I like to use it as a systemic. Because what's happening is in your root system, if you top spray, it doesn't do a whole lot, then getting it in your soil. This guy's like a teaspoon per gallon, so it goes a really long way. Mix it in, top water your houseplant, I would say every 2 weeks until you start seeing some new growth on your houseplant. Then you know you dealt with the fungus, or the fungal problem. So yeah, he's really simple, really easy, doesn't smell, I would use him. And you can probably clear it up within a month, as long as your houseplant isn't too bad. If it's 50% rotting or things, if you see black, you may or may not be able to bring it back. But as long as you see the first signs and deal with it, you'll be fine. So if I were to treat him right now, he'd probably be fine in a month and come back. So the fungicide 5 works amazing. That's why we switched to this product. You used to see copper fungicide or the revitalize, people might still revitalize. I like this more. It just goes a longer way and it works better.
Is it contagious, those little gnats? And do I need to do all of my plants?
I would, because this product goes a long way. What? Because they can jump plants no problem because they lay eggs and everything. So yeah, instead of repotting your plant, which you can repot and do that as well if you want, if it's just the one, I would just use the product because it's easier. Not a problem. Okay, any questions on anything that I've talked about so far? I know a lot of new people joined, I can talk more, but we'll go into that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about soil, what soil to use for what, and kind of go into that, and then I'll talk about transplanting as well. So, let me grab this really quick. Didn't want to make a mess for you guys, sorry about this. So, let's talk about transplanting in soil. So, I brought up pots to show you what size to choose when you're trying to replant your pot. If you go too big, if you have like a little 4-inch and you go to like a 10-inch, because you're like, I don't want to buy more pots, just want to take the one, you run the risk of shocking your plant. If they're a little tiny plant, a little root system, and you stick them in something big, they're gonna be like, whoa, I have too much room, and they're gonna freeze, or they're gonna spend so long rooting out that they're not gonna grow. They'll just sit there for years because they're trying to root out. So you want to upsize them little by little. This guy is a 6-inch. That's a 6-inch right there. This is kind of an 8-inch pot. It's a little bit bigger. I chose him for him because you don't want to upsize too much. I would say 1 to 2 inches upsize. Don't go more than that. The Bucina here, I went a little bit bigger. So this is like a 10-inch pot. I probably went 12 to 14. I chose a 12-inch pot. A little bit bigger. So that's how you kind of decide. I know that people want to upsize. They don't want to spend a lot on a lot of pots and things. I get that. but just do it slowly. And then I like ceramic pots because they're breathable. If you do plastic, that's fine. They just tend to suffocate plants a little bit more. They don't drain out as fast. So if you do ceramic, terracotta, that's always a little bit better. But choose what you like. So in replanting, so let's take this one, Sarah. So I'm going to use this pot for this philodendron here. There's a 6-inch pot into an 8-inch, 2 inches up. What you're going to want to do is, I don't like using pebbles. I don't like using rocks. They drain your hole, they clog up your drainage hole in there, and then you overwater your plant. So I like to just use a screen to go on the bottom so I don't lose as much dirt, so you don't have to replace every year. And that's all I do. The more room you have for roots, the better, especially if you're upsizing a little bit. So use rocks if you like. I do not like to use them. And then always make sure your pot has a drainage hole. Some people don't like to do the drainage hole. If you do not have one, you will probably overwater your plant and it will probably die. So have a drainage hole of some sort. And so what I do is be really gentle pulling it out. If you just yank your plant out, you're going to run the risk of hurting your stems and stuff. So I just like to squeeze the sides and pull it out, pop it out. And then if you have a lot of old dirt, like if you're repotting you bought summer from a nursery, you brought it home, you're repotting, I would almost take away all of the dirt that it's around. Usually it's not super great dirt, it's dirt that they've just put in there. I would just do completely new dirt. And that, you just kind of gently massage your plant to start dropping what it has, and just kick it out slowly. It's kind of a process, but it was better in the long run. If you're replanting one that you already have at home, you probably don't need to do that. Just take it out, shake it a little bit, put it in its new spot, because you've got good dirt. So this guy also, if you find your houseplant has a lot of this peat mossy stuff, kind of condenses, I would take that all out. Here in Arizona, it holds a lot of moisture, so it overwaters. That's partly why I did this, is because of this peat moss stuff. So my Swiss cheese has it as well. Take that out. You do not want that. You want good drainage soil. So yeah, I just shake it till you start seeing that root system. That's fine. Shake it out. And I would say, I would do more, but this is probably good. You fill it up. And I would you planted it to the crown. So if you plant it lower than where it was when it started, you're going to rot it out. So the crown means where the base of your plant is touching your dirt. So it's easier on just to show you. If I were to plant deeper than where these guys are already, you're going to rot it. So plant it exactly where that soil touches your new soil. Does that make sense? So you just place it in there. If you just plant it higher than lower, because you're going to lose dirt every time you water. So if you plant it higher, you can go longer without replacing dirt. So I would plant them kind of up a little bit. Plant them up a little bit, kind of higher, and then pot them in. Really simply, just pack the dirt in, place it down. I like to water in between. So if I put it in, put some dirt in, water it, throw some more dirt on top, water it. I'd make sure it's moist all the way through so you don't have dry dirt in there, and then it takes your water away from your plants. So I like to water as I go. A lot of people like to soak their dirt beforehand. I don't like that, it just makes it messy and dirty. You don't want to do that. Just water as you go, and it'll be better. Yeah, if you have any roots that are black or they're squishy, cut those out. It's okay to cut roots that don't look good. It'll promote new root growth, and it'll be better. So don't be afraid to cut roots if they're not looking good. Don't just plant it in there.
What if they're like root bound? Is that, they look okay, but there's so much of them. I cut them out, is that?
Yeah, I would lightly take like a fork or something and lightly distress it. Because eventually they'll wrap around themselves and choke up the plant. But I wouldn't just go through and cut. So I would try and disperse it slowly as you can. Yeah. I don't really have a root bound plant to show you what that looks like, but they're just ones that start swirling on themselves. You'll notice it as soon as you take it out. Try and break that up. Yeah. The ones that do not like a lot of root space are cactus and succulents. So I kind of brought this to show you. So I chose this pot for these plants because it does not need root space. They do not like it. They like to be shallow. because it helps them dry out faster, and they can get more air. So if you have even this guy, I could plant him in this, or I can plant him in half that, because he's a succulent type, so they do not like a lot of root space. So that's your aloes, any of your cactuses, any even snake plants could go lower. Any succulent cactus type, you can do a shallow bowl, and it'd be great. Yeah. Anything that is a cactus type, I like to do cactus mix, because it drains a lot faster, it drains better for you, so you don't have to worry about overwatering it. It doesn't have to be on your mind. So if you have a big plant you're doing it for, I like to do half potting soil, half cactus mix. Because I don't want to be watering every week, but if I like to mix them so I can kind of get some drainage, but hold some moisture. Because our waters mix has a peat moss in it, so it will hold moisture eventually once it's got a lot of water to it. So a lot of people freak out with ours because they're like, it's holding a lot of moisture all the time. Like, that's what you want. Takes a while to get used to it. So just know with our mix, once it gets hydrated, you can go a lot longer because of the peat moss in it. Ours is a really good mix. It's got the perlite, it's got a low-grade fertilizer in it. So when you do plant in it, you're good to go right off the bat. You don't have to worry about adding anything. So you can use Happy Frog, you can use someone else's, no problem. Just make sure it drains, make sure it's got some good air in it. Perlite, vermiculite, something like that. So I can show you. So this is our potting mix in here. So you can see that it's got some of that bark in it. It's a really fine bark mix. The vermiculite, stuff like that, and then the fertilizer. So this is just a really great mix to look for. You do that straight black stuff, I think Walmart sells that. It's very thick. Once it's wet, it kind of holds a lot of moisture. So you really want this air in it to help drain. So that's that low-grade bark. So cactus, those are kind of your dirts. It doesn't take a lot. Dirt is dirt. Just make sure it drains. That's all I would say. Anything else on dirt or anything, or transplanting?
When do you know that you need to transplant your plants?
Okay, so when do you transplant your plants? When you know, and I'll get to yours in a second. So you want to look for if they're sending out a lot of roots. You get a lot of air roots coming out. These guys like showing. I don't think it has any roots that start trailing out everywhere. Time to replant. If you notice your plant has been sitting there and it's not doing anything, probably means it doesn't have enough root space to go anywhere, so it's just staying still. Time to replant. If it's like double the size of the pot that it's in, probably time. This guy could definitely use it. He's probably getting a little root down. Probably time to replant. So there's kind of air roots, size of plant to the pot, and if it's just sitting still. Kind of your top three. Kind of going into fertilizer next, so I'll answer you first.
Okay. For cactus and succulents, some people sort of layer cactus mix, gravel, perlite on top. Is that helpful, or?
It helps because it creates drainage. I would say our cactus mix is more than enough drainage in it. If you notice it, it is very light. It just drains instantly. So unless you like watering all the time, you can do that. Otherwise, I would say if you want to wait a bit more, just do the cactus mix. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? I'm going to fertilizer.
I have a couple of bags of soil that are a few years old.
Doesn't really matter. The only thing I would say is if it's a couple years old, I would use the systemic in it because it could have fungus gnats in it at that time because it's not new. Just add this in and then it should be fine. But that stuff's still good to use. It'll just need to be hydrated. Yeah. Okay, what products for fertilizing, upkeeping on your houseplants? So, we've kind of gone to a new line of things. You might know the Schultz. Schultz is everywhere. Everyone uses it. It's great stuff. We do Houseplant Hero from Pertalone. So it works the same way. It doesn't have the dropper, but it does have a drop top. So you just do the 7 drops in a gallon or a quart and water your houseplants. This stuff is such low grade that you can use it every time you water. I suggest maybe every other or once a month, depending on what you water and when. But I would use this every so often to fertilize your houseplants. This is for everything. If you want just one and done, get this for everything. It's generic for everything. If you like to get a little more specific, this is a cactus and succulent one specifically. Kind of has different things that they need. I also have an orchid one for it, and I also have the African violet one as well. These just help things bloom a little bit more. The blooming stuff forces blooms a little bit. This guy, again, orchids don't need a whole lot, so this just has a lower grade than the rest of it. So you can get as specific as you want or not, but I would suggest cactus and the regular one. These are the two that I would choose and have on hand at all times.
Can you talk about miracle grow?
Yes. Okay, so let me do this really quick and then I'll get into that. So this I also brought because it's a great for transplanting because it's a rooting hormone. Basically fermented tea, so B12 if you got that, vitamin. This is our brand, we created this for our houseplants. So 221 is the numbers, very low. We almost use this every time we water, just because it helps things root out faster. So if you're transplanting, especially if you're transplanting in the winter months, they like a little bit of help because things are not growing right now. Even your inside plants, they don't tend to be growing super fast right now. So if you transplant at this time, use this and it'll help them out. The best time to transplant is kind of March through May, the early spring to beginning of summer, because things are just starting to wake up, they're just starting to flush, so they'll handle the transplant better. And always transplant before your houseplant gets sick. If you're doing it while it's sick, it just stresses it out even more because it's like, you're moving me, I don't like it. So always try and do it before you're ready to. Just do it before you think that you should, is my advice. So, but Haiti is really great for transplanting. It does have a bit of a smell, so you want to do it outside or anything like that, and just use a very light amount, because you do not want it sticking around. So, there's that, or you can use rooting powder. If you have like a cutting, or you're doing like a pothos transplant cut, rooting powder, you just dip it in, plant it in dirt, and it helps it root faster. So that's your other powder type. So yeah, so those are those guys. Miracle Grow. You guys got Miracle Grow? It's not a problem. I would say here, Miracle Grow does have more salt in it than regular potting soils. So we don't like using it because we already have salt in our water, and then you're putting more salt in your dirt. Doesn't really make sense. So you can use it if you have it, just get rid of it, but then I would suggest switching over to something else because you just don't want that salt content. As long as we don't like it, it's got good drainage, it's good solid dirt, just not great for the area that we are in. So like that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. We're not against it, we just move somewhere else. That's why we created our brands of dirt, because we made them for our area, for Arizona, not international, not countrywide, it's for us. So that's why we chose that. Get this out. Any other questions before I look and see what else I've talked about? No? Okay. The last products I have for you guys, I guess I just brought this, this and this. This is just fun, I'll talk about it. So this is, if you have like woolly aphid or aphids on your plants, spider mite, things like that. They can happen really fast this time of year, and spider mite will take out your plant instantly. It almost looks like it shrinked your plant, and then it died in an instant. This will take care of that. This is a spray. You just spray, it's indoor-outdoor multi-purpose insect spray. You can spray it on all your houseplants, and it doesn't really have that oil in it that smells, or it makes a shine on your plant. This one, this is triple action. This is your other one you can use indoors. It's organic, so it's not going to hurt anything, but it is oil-based. So it can't leave a residue on your plant while it's taking care of things. So that's why I have this one for indoors, because you don't have that residue. But they both work great on your plants. You will have to use them a little more often because they are organic, so they're not going to be as harsh as like a normal killer for things. So like this, leave that here, yes. So this tiny dancer alocasia, they like to get spider mite. We have been fighting spider mite on these for like a month now. And I have been using triple action, but I've almost had to do it every week because it's just so low grade, and spider mite are so aggressive that they hide in these little curls. It will make the plant curl in itself, and they hide. So you really have to spray in there, and you have to get everything. So anything that you see curling or creates like ridges, that's spider mite. You will not see them with the human eye. You'll see their webbing, and that's pretty much it. So you really got to look out for those. Aphids and stuff, you'll see them. They're little white specks on your plant, or they're green bugs, or they're black. You'll see them crawling around. They're gross and disgusting, but they're there. So that I would use. I've been using triple action on mine at home. I've had woolly aphid for a month now. You just really got to check the plant. Underside, top side, spray your dirt, spray everything, and it'll take care of those aphids for you. The fun thing is green glow. If you like your plants to shine, use green glow. If you don't want all the dust and you don't want to spend all their time dusting, I just do this. And it just really makes them shine for it, makes them new.
Even if they're dusty, you just spray.
Yep, you just spray over it. You can dust if you want. No problem. You want to take some time, dust. I don't like doing that. So I just spray my plant. And you just go. Do not spray anything that is fuzzy, African because it will suffocate it. And do not spray really your cactuses or things because you'll suffocate them. They like to get air through the moisture through the air. Just leave those ones alone. But any waxy leaf, anything like that, spray away and it looks new. So you might spray outside. It's a little fumy, but it looks good. So that was just my fun product for you. So let's see. I talk fast. Jeez. You slow me down, people. Sorry, I'm my father's daughter. I speak really fast and I'm not careful about it. Yeah, so I would suggest with bigger plants, if you have a saucer and stuff under them, if you could raise them up at all to create airflow, it works better. Even like your little plants, and it just creates different place areas in your house, so you can get some dimension. I always like to go tall plant, mid-sized, bottom plant to create an area. It makes it look really nice, really full, kind of tropical. That way you don't just have one plant in a corner. So I like to stair-step things. I also like to, if you're in a brighter spot, you can do anything you want. So I like to do Dracaena, pothos, and like a cactus. And mix it up. So if you want anything on design or anything like that, I can help you with that. But I just like dimension, change it up. So that's why I brought these guys. This one too. This guy, see if I can break pot. So he's great because you don't have to, you can put any size saucer on them. They hold a lot of weight, you don't have to worry about that. But this one you can put any size saucer on it and be good. So we got 2 different kinds. So that's why I brought these guys. And honestly, that's kind of it. Transplanting, what to use, what to look for. I mean, guys, any questions?
Are there particular cacti that are better suited to indoor?
Yes, so it's actually so in Arizona you think we'd be able to grow more cactus. Here, we don't. You can grow like 3 types of cactus outside and you're fine. So pretty much every cactus is going to be an indoor cactus. Especially here, if it's indoors, it's indoors. But anything grafted, anything like barrel shaped, the barrel cactus are indoors. Most of your cactus can be indoor cactus for the winter. You can put them out in the summer, they're fine. A lot of these plants you put out in the summer in a shaded area, they'll be fine. They'll do great. Ferns, fantastic outside. Got to bring them in the winter. They get huge. You can cut them back, but you can put a lot of stuff outside in the summer and bring it in. Let me get to you in a second to do your question. Amaryllis?
I have one.
Yeah.
Does it just die when it's done blooming?
Is it in that wax thing? Yeah, if it's in the wax thing, I mean, you can bring it back a few times because it just bulbs, so you'll cut it back once it's done blooming. But in the wax, it's pretty much one and done. If you find the ones that are in the dirt and stuff or in the water, those you can plant and keep bringing back. But amaryllis are kind of for me, a one-time thing. I don't like putting a lot of work to it, but yeah, they're in that wax. Probably not. Yeah.
Is there anything special you can do when you're taking pothos cuttings and growing them in water?
Not really, because they're so hardy. You just cut it and put it in water.
Does it make a difference if it's a clear container or a ceramic that's not clear?
Not that I have noticed. I prefer clear myself because they can get more light to it. The water kind of stays a little bit nicer. Kind of that two-tier system for them. But my sister, she just grows them like crazy in everything. She'll just stick them in dirt and water. She doesn't matter to her. She sticks in everything it grows. So for pothos particularly, doesn't matter. Yeah.
We recently moved and I've got my pothos, it's about 5 years old.
Mhm.
It's getting a lot of yellow leaves and I haven't changed much, but it seems to have less light now. I don't know, what are the yellow leaves?
Yeah, so yellow leaves tend to be overwatering, a sign of that. Now this time, if it happened during the winter time and it's not getting as much light, it could be that there's not enough light to keep them green, so it just starts getting rid of leaves to live. Sometimes if you start seeing them thin out, like if this was to lose all of its leaves up here, let me show you. Like sometimes these guys will lose all their top leaves and just have the runners. It's not getting enough light to fill out the plant. So pothos can do that too. My guess is it's maybe staying too wet, but if it's losing a lot of its inner leaves, maybe it's not getting enough light too. It depends.
Okay, and frequency of watering for pothos?
Check it once a week. Again, it might need it every 2 weeks at this point, especially if it's a deeper pot, because it's probably staying really wet at the bottom. I would suggest, as I was saying earlier, the moisture meter, because you can get down to the base of it and know whether it's actually drying out or not. Yeah. But pothos are pretty easy to bring back from overwatering, so you should be able to bring that back no problem. And I would fertilize it with some sort of fertilizer. You have a question?
No, that was my question.
Okay, yeah, yellow leaves are usually an indication of overwatering. If they're more brown or crinkly, that's usually not enough. So, yeah.
Do you recommend using something to sterilize reused pots?
No, not really. I mean, if it had a fungal or something in it, just clean it out really well, scrub out the dirt, but you don't really need to cleanse them or anything. They'll be fine. Yes.
You're creeping Charlie.
Okay. I know everyone wants Creeping Charlie. What's interesting is the vendors have stopped creating the old Creeping Charlie. They kind of stopped growing it for whatever reason. And they've gone towards this waxy, almost baby tearish, the small-leafed Creeping Charlie. We get them in the summer more. It's when I can find them. Right now, the vendors don't have them. So,
How do you take care of them?
they like, yeah, they like bright and direct light if you can. And then they do like more water than most. So I would say once a week check them, and then fertilize them every month or so. That should be fine. But they do like more water than most things.
So I could just take my soft water and set it out and.
Yep, yeah.
But it has calcium in it. You know, from food.
That's our water here. Calcium actually doesn't really hurt that much. It helps things kind of grow. Too much can, but I would say you're fine here. Yeah. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you for showing up. Appreciate it. First class of the year. It's going great. I'll be here if you have any questions or anything specific, let me know. And then you can end that.
Yep.
So we were given a snake plant
Yeah.
in a white pot that has burlap sort of strands that go down into this well of water.
Okay.
Have you seen